Tonight, things are back to normal here at Will Rogers World Airport, as normal as they can be after a tragedy like the one that happened here today. Michael Winchester shot and killed, an hours-long search for a suspect, and it all ended after more than 24 flights were canceled, and the suspect was found dead inside his pickup truck.
It is already cold enough out here, Linda, for water to freeze solid. So to prepare for it, Oklahoma City is fighting back with salt. It's tossing this stuff all over the roads and the bridges in the metro here to make sure drivers are safe.
Linda, police were called to this Norman apartment complex behind me around 8 Saturday morning. What they discovered here has so many heartbroken tonight.
In the rural, open town of Pocasset, Homer Holm,
it's almost comical.
Can't help but feel fenced in.
I know there are. There's 2 fences blocking me off.
This dirt path used to be his 5th Street driveway.
Since horse and buggy days.
But after discovering a water main and trying to get an easement, Holm ended up with chain link instead.
I was appalled that civic leaders in anywhere would treat anybody different from the others. We don't understand why we have the only house in the county that probably you can't get a fire truck.
On the other side of the fence is the town of Pocasset, whose mayor directed us to the town attorney, who said he couldn't say anything to us without consulting with the full board of trustees. Though the attorney told us this fence is designed to protect Pocasset's land and property, though he wouldn't tell us what it's protecting the property from.
Pretty sad thing to do to somebody.
Now, in order to get to his home, Holm has to take the long way.
You have to drive through a field.
Which fortunately sits on an adjacent property he owns. But ask Holm.
They won't get through.
And he'll tell you the town is asking for trouble.
In other words, if you called emergency services, the GPS coordinates would lead you to this mess.
No space for a fire truck or an ambulance. No explanation for a longtime resident. From above the surface of the pond, the ice looked thick enough to walk on, but it didn't take long for one young man to find out the hard way. It wasn't even close. It was all just fun and games. Disc golf in a Guthrie Park was good enough until a 16-year-old boy saw something else.
Kiddo just looked out there and said, "Hey, I want the basketball."
Just over there, about 20 yards from shore, forget that half the pond had running water. Forget that this is winter in Oklahoma.
It rarely gets colder for long enough to be safe.
The teenager went for it and went in it. And then it got worse.
When the water's this cold, the extremities don't want to work. All the blood kind of goes to the core and making it harder and harder to move.
The teen tries to swim back. You can see his frantic path in the pond.
You see how it just continued to break and break and break because he tried to make his way back to shore, all the while getting colder and colder.
His friends waded in and reached him with a tree branch, pulling him out as emergency crews pull in.
He's going to be fine. Just needing to warm up. Just wasn't a good decision.
But there is a good lesson. Unless you're light as a feather, best to stay on shore and settle for a different kind of hole in one. Lauren Fultonberg, Oklahoma's News Channel 4.
2, 3, 4, you know what I'm saying?
This is the stuff that pays the bills.
It adds up. It really adds up.
Scraps here and there.
I got it from the junk pile.
Keep Michael Todd scraping by.
I'll break them down. I'll rebuild them. Without junking, my income would be maybe $750 a month. We can't hardly afford to pay what we got. That's life, though.
And life figures to get tougher for this part-time janitor if he has to start paying another $5 or $6 a month in state taxes to keep the lights on.
Every penny that we earn goes to a bill, you know what I'm saying? And that puts a strain on the average person.
We need to invest in Oklahoma's future.
Governor Fallon's plan includes taxing more than 100 different services, including your utility bill.
We are a service-oriented economy.
The governor's chief of staff says we need to tax all services like they do in other states. So in exchange, the governor wants to cut sales tax on groceries, saving some families nearly $700 a year.
Something to give back to the folks and the people we think need it most, which are people who are low income.
And the governor says she'll study the budget by freeing corporations from income taxes.
Corporation hires people, and it pays people a wage and allows people to be able to provide for their families.
Think about the little people.
It doesn't feel too fair to Michael Todd.
That sort of puts me, on the bank.
And makes his wallet a little lighter than it already is.
Nicely done, Darryl Golden.